Do you ever wonder who's funding so-called NGOs, non-governmental organizations that keep trying to lobby to change our laws? Over 100 NGOs in the last federal election campaigned against Stephen Harper. There are probably 100 environmentalist NGOs fighting to shut down the oil sands, pipelines, fracking, and liquefied natural gas. Groups like Greenpeace, who, funny enough, never seem to protest against OPEC oil producers like Venezuela and Saudi Arabia. So who's funding these NGOs? Here's the head of NATO a couple of years ago saying who funds anti-fracking groups in Western Europe.
I have met allies who can report that Russia, as part of their sophisticated information and disinformation operations, engage actively with so-called non-governmental organizations, environmental organizations working against shale gas, obviously, to maintain European dependence on imported Russian gas. That's my interpretation.
Of course, Putin is against fracking. He wants a monopoly to sell Russian gas to Europe. So who's funding Canadian lobby groups? There is zero interest in this matter from our media party, but there's enough information out there, if you know where to dig, just to see how much of the money is from far-left groups in foreign countries, like the United States. Here's just one example. The Tides Foundation out of San Francisco, in a single year, makes dozens of grants comprising millions of dollars for anti-Canadian lobbying by Canadian NGOs. Eco-Justice, Environmental Defense, the Council of Canadians, Greenpeace, of course. Hey, there's Idle No More. I bet you thought Idle No More was about Canadian Aboriginals. Nope. It's funded by leftists out of San Francisco. Lead Now, that's the big anti-oil sands group whose former executive director is now the chief of staff to Alberta's energy minister. Foreign funded. Sierra Club, obviously on the list. So that's just one foundation in the US, the Tides Foundation. Then there's the Rockefeller Brothers Fund and the Oak Foundation out of Europe and the Hewlett Foundation and the Packard Foundation. There are dozens of them, hundreds of millions of dollars, all pushing from the same side against Canadian jobs, against oil and gas, never against OPEC oil. Isn't that funny? What should we do about this? I mean, it's foreign meddling in Canada. Well, first, you can sign the petition by our new BC Bureau Chief, Christopher Wilson, to get the American Tides Foundation out of Canadian politics. Click here at TidesOut.ca. But second, well, look at this news story out of Israel. Now, that's a country that has people around the world trying to push it around, not just externally, but by subsidizing anti-Israel NGOs inside Israel. Huge amounts of foreign money from the European Union, from leftists like George Soros, and now we see even by the US government. Well, look at this news. Israel just passed a law requiring NGOs that receive 50% or more of their funds from foreign interests to prominently disclose that to the public. So they're not censoring anyone. They're not banning anyone. They're just asking the wolves in sheep's clothing to disclose that they're wolves. Don't you think we should do that in Canada too? Don't you think Canadians should get to make decisions about Canada and foreign interests should butt out? Don't you think it would change the debate a bit if every anti-oil sands lobbyist who was paid by the United States or some OPEC dictatorship or Russia had to admit where their money came from? Don't you think we'd all look at those lobbyists a bit differently if they had to maybe even fly their foreign flag? You know, like a race car driver bragging about his sponsors all over his, racing suit. I'd like that. You can take all the Russian or American or Saudi money you like to badmouth the oil sands, but you just have to admit it. And you have to let Canadians judge you on your loyalty, not just your propaganda. Hey, visit TidesOut.ca to sign our petition. Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.